Okay, Warren. We got a couple of questions related this year to climate change and its impact on the company. So let me ask this question from Clem Dinsmore, who asks, if asked, what would the underwriting experts at your casualty insurance and reinsurance companies advise you and your fellow board members are the emerging risks to Berkshire's many enterprises from the changes in extreme weather associated with climate change? And I would add that Jed McDonald asked a separate question but related, saying, what are your thoughts on the price on carbon debate?
Yeah. Well, as you've noticed, if you've been here the last few years, the climate really is getting a lot warmer. Obviously, well, Charlie knows far more about science than I do, which is not saying a whole lot. But my general feeling is that there is certainly a reasonable chance that people that are worried about warming and the effect of CO2, et cetera, are right. But I don't know enough so that I can say that, that I can speak as any kind of an expert on it. I don't know the answer on it, but I certainly I'm willing to assume that there are a lot of very smart people who think that, and I think that it's a reasonable assumption. I don't think that it makes any real difference in assessing insurance rates from year to year. We have a general tendency to be pessimistic in our assumptions about the likelihood of natural catastrophes, but we would have that general bias, which I think is useful, regardless. If there were no carbon emissions of any kind going on, we would still assume that whatever the past history had been of natural disasters, we would assume that they were going to be somewhat worse. And the global warming, in terms of resetting prices of insurance from year to year, is not a real factor. Our general pessimistic bias is something of a factor. The second part about pricing of carbon emissions, I want to repeat that again.
The full question, and I abbreviated it, was what are your thoughts on the price of carbon debate? Do you think it's a feasible way, for example, to incentivize efficiency improvements and capture the externalities of carbon's damaging effects, or is it a lofty, idealized concept too tricky to figure out in practice?
I would say that the question calls for having Charlie give the answer.
Well, you got to realize that I'm a Caltech trained meteorologist, but that was before they'd invented most of modern meteorology. I think that carbon trading is pretty impractical. A whole bunch of nations with different ideas and so on. And I think if you wanted to change habits, the correct answer is carbon taxes. I think Europe, because they're socialists and wanted to tax the thing that people needed the most, they put these big high taxes on motor fuel. So they did it by accident, and not because it was a good idea vis-a-vis global warming and a lot of other issues, but because they really needed the money. But I think they stumbled into the right policy. I think the United States should have way higher taxes on motor fuel, and that's efficient. Some group of shareholders, so they're clapping for high taxes.
They weren't all clapping.